I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a gambler. I have problems with sexual addiction. All these things that we have in our life that can be addictions, whatever it is, they're just isms. My head is a place you don't want to go alone, It's a scary and dangerous place. Been around about 27 years. On April 4th, it'll be 28 years if I live that long.
Dan Renfro, man of mystery, because the screen is blurry. No. Right now. Dan Renfro, thank you so much for coming on A Channel of Hope, joining me today. You are a pastor. You're 27 years sober. Thanks for coming on, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to be here. I've been looking forward to doing this ever since you invited me to come, so I'm pretty excited about being here today.
Yeah, I'm really excited about having you on because I really haven't done this yet on this channel. Like I was sharing with you before, this is something that's passionate for me, but I do it on my other channel where I interview other people. But that whole idea of anonymity in recovery is something we struggle with. Like, how much can I say without like putting the program on blast or like making sure that I'm not saying something wrong? So you're 27 years sober. You've recovered from a debilitating disease as we know it. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what you've gone through and a little bit about your story, if you would mind?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. Like you said, I've been around about 27 years. On April 4th, it'll be 28 years if I live that long. I think we get a little confused. If we get a little confused about what the traditions talked about anonymity. First of all, I don't represent AA or any other place. In fact, I tell people if I identify myself as any of my isms, my disease would take me all day. I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a gambler. I have problems with sexual addiction. All these things that we have in our life that can be addictions, whatever it is, they're just isms. They're just the way we act out. What Bill Wilson tells us, it's not about alcohol. It's about a much bigger spiritual problem that we have. And once we figure that out, we can start working on ourselves instead of just not drinking or just not doing drugs or just not chasing the porn sites or just not running to the boat and gambling and all that. So I've been around, like you said, 27 years. The first 8 years, when I first got sober, I was in the hospital, went to rehab. I actually went my first rehab when I was 16, and then I went again when I was 33. So the first one didn't take very well, but the second one did well. Right. I've been around. I'm trying to do the next right thing. For the first 8 years, I was immersed in AA. What I tell everybody, and you've seen the slogan, that God brought me to AA, and I really wasn't sure who this higher power was or who God was. I just knew he was. And then the AA brought me back to God. I looked on the walls, every room you go into, it's talking about higher power, hope is found here, all this kind of stuff. And over a period of time, I started to understand with a good sponsor that even though I was in the rooms of AA, the alcohol wasn't the problem. Yeah. Dan was the problem. So I spent all these years, those first years, trying to figure that out. You find a good closed mouth guy to take you through and show you the right things. Well, things started to change. And after a while in the program and working the steps and I got involved with the church really early. And I started to see back in 1991, the same time that Celebrate Recovery came out, but it was about 5 years after that before I actually saw it. But I could see how the Bible and the big book intersected. So I two things. I wasn't a very trusting person. I don't know most people with addictions or not. So
we trust the drugs and alcohol. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly right. Man, if you were, a Xanax or if you were a bottle of Jack Daniels, I trusted it because I knew you were going to get
best friend. Come on.
But all the guys in the program, I'd hear people quote the big book, and then I'd hear somebody else quote the big book, the same place, and say two different things. Same thing as I was growing up, I heard all those Christian guys, they would say the Bible, they'd say stuff like, God helps them who help themselves. And then as I started studying the Bible, I found out that's not in there, Right. So So in self-defense, I started to learn the big book early on after my second or third year, really started studying it. And so I started, by the time I'd been in about 8 years, I really understood. Of course, it's not really hard to grasp 164 pages. So I'm not, it's not that I'm that smart.
It's a children's book for adults, man.
Say it again?
It's a children's book for adults. That's why.
Exactly right. They, I just wanted to know when the people in authority were saying things, were they making stuff up, or were they saying their opinion, which all is fine, I guess, or were they really quoting the big book? The same thing about the Bible. I wanted to know if they were telling me something that they're saying God said it, that God really said it. So that my first 8 years was really just trying to immerse myself in what Bill Wilson said. And because of that, I was able to see where those two intersected. It really changed. Before I even got to that part, I guess, back to your question, just finding the program and finding the 12 steps and finding somebody to help me understand that it was about me and how to do the next right thing changed my life.
Yeah, I think you touched on so many good things there. I think when we come to realize that there's no problem outside of us necessarily, because everything we see outside of us is just our perception. The whole idea of personal responsibility is really what the program teaches. It's like, and it's been simplified as much to me as this is how you grow up, Matt. This is your spiritual growth. This is you growing up. But so God, right? This is something that can get really touchy for people, and I think it's unfortunately pushed people out of the rooms. That if the meeting has gone to God, and people who, and understandably so, right? It's like this whole idea of a higher power that is apparently loving us, but all this horrible, magnificently bad things are happening in our lives and in the world. It's like, why would I ever want to be around a God like that? Why would I want to believe in something like that? And it's the same thing with people. Like for me, coming into the rooms, I was like, why would I want to? I'm not going to trust any of these people. I don't trust myself. I'm not going to make friends with any of these idiots. If they're anything like me, right? I can't trust them, right? So it brings up a great point when you talk about, inundating yourself with the big book and getting in there and trying to not so much think of God as this old white beard fella, but as a higher power, as something outside of yourself, right? But you're a pastor as well.
Yeah. After it took a long time for me to get past. My dad was really bad to me, and so when we pray that prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven," it's like, dude, man, I hope it's not my father, because he was an SOB, and so we start to connect those two. And it was a long time before I found out that, God wasn't responsible. Just like the guys in the room who are like me were not responsible for the things I did, neither was God. And when I found out, I was like, why did he let that happen? And then, finally it occurred to me, he didn't let anything happen. He let me make my own choices. Now, sometimes I wish he wouldn't, but if he would, but if he would make all my choices for me, I would resent that. I've got 4 kids. They're all grown up. And, as they became adults, they started making decisions on their own. And some of them I didn't want them to make, I don't want you to do this because you're going to get hurt. Well, I couldn't not let them do that, because if I did, they would never learn that lesson. Some of them were pretty hard for me to watch. And I think that's how our higher power is. He says, you need to learn that lesson. It may kill you, but you need to learn the lesson. And the thing of it is, just like with our kids, he's always there to grab us. So when we fall, if we'll reach for him, he'll hold on to us. So many people do come into rooms and they see God in all over the wall like I did, and instead of seeing it as maybe a positive thing that they want to know more of, like you said, they run out. But the thing about our bottoms is it helps us find out that there must be something more than us, and that it definitely isn't us. And so at some point, we kind of open up our minds enough to reach out. And that's what the whole 12 steps are. See, Bill Wilson, the reason he left the Christian group that started AA, the Oxford group, he said, the 12 steps, he was so happy the 12 steps came from that group. He thanks them for it, except for the first step, which comes from Dr. Soapworth. But he said the reason why he literally took the 6 tenets and made them 12 steps, so to speak, was he felt like the Christian groups that he was in were pushing people too fast. Not that they were pushing them to God too fast, that the fact is that people who don't know God sometimes need some time to understand it. So if we look at 12 steps, it's really just a great Bible study, because he says the reason he writes this book is to get you a better relationship with your Creator. And so if you look at that, he gradually gets you through step 9. And once you get to step 9, he's, I just was looking at today, you're looking at the promises before you're halfway through. All these things start to happen. You start to have a spiritual experience, and that's your relationship with God. Now, for me, that's Jesus Christ, but it could be your higher power can be whatever you decide it to be. That's what Evie told Bill, that opened up Bill's mind. So if we don't want God to keep us out of the program, but we don't want anything to keep us out of the program. Yeah. So until we're ready, I don't think he brings us. It took me 33 years to get in, and I was pretty beat up when I got here. Yeah,
we definitely don't want anything to keep us out. But I know for me, I picked up multiple white chips. I've relapsed multiple times, and this is the longest I've ever been sober. And the thing that's finally changed for me in this time around is that getting willing to do whatever it is that I have to do. Like, I used to be the type of guy that would walk into a meeting or a room and see somebody who had 30 years of sobriety, and they were happy, they were joyful, they had friends and connections, and being like, that guy doesn't know how to live life right. Like, I had this idea, like, being a sick person, knew how to live happily. Like, I had no effing clue what I was doing, but I was ready to tell somebody else. It wasn't until I said, all right, you know what? I probably don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, let me just see if somebody else will tell me what to do, and then just do whatever it is they say. And that's where the freedom came in. I've never been happier in my entire life than I am now. And it's only because I put my ego on the shelf, and like, I got that humility, right? Like, where the idea of myself and the reality of who I am started matching up. Like, I found some form of humility. And sometimes, unfortunately, it took for me, like, laying on this same bed, like dying, throwing up blood, drinking gallons of vodka, not being able to move for months on end. It took that for me to finally be like, okay, I have to do something different. And sometimes people don't make it even out of the room. They die because of this disease. It's that serious and insidious, so it's such a blessing to see somebody. I mean, you've got, 27 years. I know they say we only have today, but what are some of the things that you practice every day to, make sure that you stay on that path of recovery?
Well, it was a good question. First of all, I'm going to tell you, when we first met, I had no idea you were in recovery. When I saw that video, I was like, there's something about somebody in recovery that we're drawn to, and whether we know it or not. So it was amazing how that worked. And when people say, I'm not sure if there really is a God, how does this happen? This happens because God says, hey, let's make this happen. So
let's tell people too, Dan Renfro, you have 2 YouTube channels. We met through another YouTuber's like Facebook group, and we're definitely trying to grow our YouTube channels and trying to spread as much hope as possible. Do you want to tell them what your YouTube channels are real quick? Sorry, before we get into the next thing.
Yeah, I have 2 YouTube channels. I have one that's kind of the mother channel, and then one that is a segment. So RNN is Recovery News Network. And what I do on that is talk to people about things when we get into recovery. When we first get into recovery, especially if we have a long-term active addiction, we forget how to interact in society. Maybe we haven't worked in a long time. We haven't paid bills. We haven't cooked on a stove. I mean, literally, we lose some of life's basic skills. And on Recovery News Network, that's all we do. We talk about life on life terms. It sounds like a cliche, but life has some rules. And if we're going to live in this world, we have to kind of conform to those rules. Doesn't mean we have to bow down to anybody, but we need to learn how to maybe use the microwave again. And maybe we know how to do that, but maybe
I had to learn how to brush my teeth again, man. Like shower again. Yeah, basic stuff.
how to interact in the world. I mean, I do videos on resumes, on interviewing, on how to make eggs, how to, just regular stuff that you would never think of. Then we just have talk shows where we talk like we're talking today. We just talk about, hey, stuff that's happened in recovery. Nobody's perfect. 27 years in, I got a buddy 34 years in, and we were talking the other day, man, we got up in the morning, our dog still pees on the carpet, your car still doesn't start. I had an argument with my wife this afternoon. I was a little nervous about this interview, so I was a little tense, and you won't believe it, we're arguing about cats on our front porch. And I kind of went off. So, I mean, we still have these life problems. What we do, my best friend, this guy, he's been in recovery a long time, does similar to what we do at New Hope. New Hope's a recovery church where the community is, we are literally, where we are now 1 year ago was #1 in the United States for overdose deaths in the whole country. All kinds of news places coming and doing videos. Today, 670% improvement in or less people dying. And that's because people are reaching out and showing people how to live. And so that's what my Recovery News Network channel is, and that's most of my life that I've been doing that kind of stuff. So I want to share that. I'm starting to retire. I want to share how to do those kind of things that might help you in business, help you in life. Definitely how to help you, how to pick a sponsor, how to help you in recovery. My other channel is for people over 50 who are not really into technology. I worked at Best Buys and all these places and was district managers and did all these kind of stuff for all these years. So I've really been in touch with technology. Most people my age, not so much. So I'm trying to help them do simple stuff like this. Use a camera. Get on YouTube. I have a whole series on Facebook, stuff like how to sign on to Facebook, kind of basic stuff. But we take it for granted because we do it every day. People that are older, they don't know how to do that. So anyway, as part of my news network and doing news shows every day and doing that kind of stuff, we have this segment called Dan is my tech guy, and I'm Dan, my tech guy. So that's kind of what we're doing online.
No, you do a great job with that too, because you showed me, like, you were doing a live video on OBS, which is a broadcasting like mirroring thing on your computer, and I was like blown away by it. So you also, I've been trying to work on it, man, and it's I'm still working on it. But you were also saying like how people in recovery connect, and how that's God showing up, and how we can kind of see somebody in recovery. And when I first saw your live videos, and I saw what you posted in that group chat on Facebook, I was like, this guy, for some reason, it was just like, yeah, this guy's got something. He's obviously living a certain way, because there are people out there who they're more into the drama than they are the recovery. And I've seen a lot of this on YouTube, which it concerns me, but I cannot allow myself to draw into it, because if I do, then I just become a part of it. But your message that you're trying to get across, it's literally it's in the solution. It's here are solutions for every single day problems. Let's talk about the solution.
Well, in the big book, there's a whole chapter it's early in the book. There is a solution. You said the solution, we could read the 164, or we could look at all this stuff, but you said it earlier. Once we realize that the problem's not the drugs, not the alcohol, not the women, not the gambling, not any of that stuff, that the problem's us.
Yeah.
It's the way we think. That it's a cliche again, a saying, we don't have a drinking problem, we have a thinking problem. We call it stinking thinking, right? But we do. My friend I was telling you about in Centerville, he says, I don't have a drinking problem, I have a coping problem. I don't know how to cope with stuff. He says that a little differently than I do, but that's the case. We don't know how to. Look, just today, I'm having this argument with my wife over these cats. It's got nothing to do with the cats. It's got to do with I'm nervous instead of coping with the nervous, because I don't want to say to myself, oh, you're nervous about being on a video. You do videos every day. So I don't want to tell myself that. So I play it off. Well, then it turns into being nervous. Good coping skills would be, hey, I'm nervous about the video, so what should I do? I should go sit down in front of the camera a while and practice a little bit and, admit that there's a problem. Step one. The solution is getting you into a good program. And yet, it could be A, it could be NA, it could be like I said, after 9 years, I went into Christian recovery. Celebrate Recovery was fairly new, so a couple churches around us, we started our own recovery. Where I'm at now is New Hope Church in Dayton, Ohio, and we're a total missionary church. The people that come to our church don't have any funds to support the church, so we work on a missionary basis. Well, because of that, we can't buy a Celebrate Recovery. You have to pay to be part of that. So our recovery is people come in. There's a place called Mosaic Church. You should see this video. I'll send you a link to it. But it's just all about love and holding people and surrounding them with God's love through each other. And that's the solution. Is finding out the problem. Once I figure out the problem, going through the steps, and then surround myself with other people that are already found the solution that can help me, and then surround the other people with that being that person. So, 12-step work, I guess. So the solution is doing the steps and making sure after I get into step 10 that I pay attention to other people and helping them doing what they need to do.
Yeah, the community is so important. Like you talked about what you guys are doing, the 650% increase, or I guess the betterment, right, for people who are overdosing and that kind of thing, it's incredible. And it does speak to what community can do when people don't feel alone in their disease and their sickness, when they don't feel like life is hopeless, how doors start opening up for them, how alcohol and drugs doesn't become this easy thing to turn to. Like they've even done experiment on rats, and where they gave them cocaine, like a cocaine drip, and the rat would die from it. But then they put in like a bunch of rats in like this rat Disneyland playground where like all the rats got to play and hang out, and they gave them the option of water and cocaine, and they would drink the water and go back and hang out with the other rats. When we have that community and that connection, something happens. Like we're built for connection. It talks about that in the Bible, where two or more are gathered. There I am, right? And it's like it's such a simple thing, and I feel like too many times as human beings we like to complicate it because we think we're this complex organism of thoughts and emotions and feelings, and we want to say, well, I need a complicated solution for my complicated problem. When in reality, I like to say it like this: if you're fat, overweight, and unhealthy, you probably need to get up, walk, and eat healthier. Simple, right? If you're miserable, depressed, and lonely, you probably need to go out and talk to somebody and like make a friend. And there's so many people like that who just don't know how to make friends. And as a recovering addict, I can tell you for damn sure, I did not want to leave my bed. But it does come down to the point of I'm either going to call somebody or I'm going to die in this bed for a lot of us. And it's that real. I mean, it's like, and it's the scariest thing that we have to deal with, but it's something that we have to unfortunately come to, right?
Yeah, Matt, first of all, I'm going to start calling you Pastor Matt. Man, I heard you preaching in there. Way to go there.
Oh, come on.
But so many people do die. Isolation is the key for, I call it the dark side. I mean, if you believe in a higher power, you got to figure there's a lower power, and the lower power is always calling to us. And the dark side, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's always trying to pull you over. And isolation is the best place for it, because if it can keep you away from anything, good music, anything that can pull your mind out of you. See, that we get stuck up there in our heads. Another good friend has a cliche that says, "My head is a place you don't want to go alone." It's a scary, and dangerous place. And so that's what isolation does, and that's what happens when we lay in the bed or we stay in our house and we turn off our lights. Well, my first treatment when I was 16 years old, they didn't have treatment centers like they have now. You went to mental hospitals, like the sanitariums that Bill Wilson talks about in the book. Yeah. And one of the things two things they did, we made wallets so to let us know that we could accomplish something. I thought it was weird then, but now I know why. But one of their best advices was get up, get dressed, and open your curtains or your drapes. Let the sun in. Be part of the outside. And Native American religion, so to speak, and spiritualism from them, they always talked about the universe and Mother Earth and being part of all your surroundings, and they believe that, which I believe that too. We're all one. We're one with the trees and the ground and the sky because God made everything. Well, if we close ourselves off from that and we do that and we stay in that bed, we can die. And more than that, people do die every day. The disease of addiction kills more people than anything else in the world. And it's the one disease that tells you that it loves you, but it tells you it's going to kill you. And you say, okay, that's all right. I love you too.
Yeah, we give it our life. Yeah, because it's that it talks about it being cunning, baffling, and powerful, and insidious, because it literally makes you think that nothing else can love you like it'll love you, and it's the only, like we talked about in the very beginning, like that trust. Like I knew exactly what Jack Daniels would do for me. I knew exactly how I would feel as soon as I put some of that brown liquor in my mouth. I would feel that oblivion. And that's all I wanted for the longest time, But if I go out, if I open my blinds and I see the sun and it's a little bit too bright, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. And it's like coming. That's what faith is, right? I mean, let's talk about faith in the program and faith in recovery. What is faith to you?
Well, that's a great question also. Faith is a lot of things to a lot of different people. The first thing most people think about faith, they think about religion, and they think about the organized religion, and that's where people run out. When you say people run out, they end up, even Bill, when Ebby comes to him, man, he goes, crackpot over liquor.
Yeah.
He could go to crackpot over religion today because he's thinking about, he goes on to explain that the institution of religion has screwed him so many times, and the people don't follow their own beliefs. Faith is pretty simple when we break it down. Every time I turn on this camera, I expect it to come on. Every time I turn on my light, I expect it. That's faith. We don't look at it like that. But basically, we expect something to happen from something. Faith in God is no different than that. Every time I believe that He will, and I give my will and turn my will and life over to Him, He always comes through. And this is how I know. 100%. Not 99.9, but 100% of the times that I've had problems in my life, I've made it through. Because I'm here today. I didn't die from any of them. Even the terrible things, like you said, the horrendous, nasty times. I lived in a car. I left home when I was 15 because they demanded that I quit doing drugs in their house or leave.
You were like, see you later.
I lived in a car for 2 years until I went to the service. I had the terrible times. I drove underneath a truck one time when I was loaded. Every time, even when I didn't even know I had faith, God rescued me. And every other situation that I didn't think I was going to live through, I lived through because God has faith in me. And now I know that was me, what little bitty faith, that mustard seed faith I had, that brought me through. So what's faith for me today is just knowing that He'll do what He says he will do, because He's always done what He said He would do in the past. Yeah.
We forget, right? I think this is so important about some of the step work too, like in the 11th step, working on our connection with God, of meditating and praying, and even the 10th step, taking that inventory on a moment by moment basis and making amends immediately. It's like we forget that right now in this moment, I am good. Like I have everything that I could ever need in this moment. I'm not starving. I'm not freezing. I'm not, hurting. Like everything's fine. And to think that I can get myself into a future moment where, what if this happens? And I can be in a past moment with, I can't believe I did that. And I can forget that I'm okay right now. And losing that, it's so easy to lose that sense. We lose it all the time. I lose it constantly. I lost it yesterday. And coming back to that faith that, if I can just be here right now with myself, and remember that God got me through dying in this bed. Like I've lived out of my car for a little while. I've slept on the streets out in Las Vegas when I ran away from rehab. Like I've done some stupid crap drinking. And I'm here.
Amen.
You know, amen, right? Because I'm not, and the most miraculous thing is I'm not the only story. You're not the only story. There are millions of people who are miracles. And in your church, I'm sure you see it. I mean, when I go to AA, I see it all, like these miracles of God, of a higher power that even though I don't understand, I can't deny the proof. And if I want to deny the proof, I'm still just living in a delusion, which is part of the problem. Right?
Yeah, we have over 1,000 people a week that come through our church. We worship. People come to worship about 100 to 120 at a time. But during the week, through different programs, through meals and Bible studies and all these other things, getting clothes and stuff, about 1,000 people a week come through. What we see is about 100 to 150 people of that 1,000 are in active recovery. So
wow.
There's miracles going on. Plus, the people who come, just like I used to come when I was living on this street, we get to see, just like us talking today, we get to see that it really does work. Even if we're in denial that it won't work for me, say, man, look, those 120 people that go there every week, they used to be just like me. And when they see me, they go, that dude used to be worse, and now he's a preacher. So they can see that it works. So we're a living testimony, and we're living testimony both ways. If we go back out, if we relapse, if we're jerks, we see so many people in the program today that 30, 40 years, and they're not happy because they're sober, but that's all they are. They're sober. They forgot there's a lot more to that program than just not drinking or not just doing drugs. So they're also example to people walking and go, man, why do I want to be like that butthole up there? I could have been a butthole out there and loaded. So I know. We have to remember that. We're always an example for people out there both ways. So I'd rather just be the more positive example, not the super positive, because I'm still can be a jerk, but at least showing that, hey, I don't have to live the way I used to because there's a better way to live.
Yeah, that's the power. I need some advice from you, Dan, because you've been doing this a lot longer than me. All right. And I had some negativity, some cyberbullying going on last night, where I almost lost my mind. Like I went back into it and I realized how quick and easy it is to get back into sickness. There's always going to be people who don't like what you say, even if what you're saying is a positive message.
Right.
What do you do to deal with that kind of when people come at you because they want to bring you down to where they're at, or they just hate seeing you happy? Because I know I'm not the only one who's like, I'm happy about my life and I'm very happy, but I know I'm not the only one who gets attacked by people who aren't as happy as I am. What do you do? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. How do you handle that situation? Well,
first I get mad.
That's right.
I can't believe you're doing that, man. I'm trying to do something good, and you're. I try to think of all the reasons why I'm mad at them. But before I do that, I just get mad. And so, luckily, God has given me a 3-second delay, so I can close my mouth while I'm getting mad, and then I can process that. So here's a few things. For instance, the video you posted the other day, there's always somebody that wants to be the expert. So I know today that when somebody wants to be the expert on something that I'm doing positive and wants to put a negative spin on it, then I know they're still out there, even if they're sober. Like that guy told you, 30 or 40 years in the program is still having a terrible life. They're like you're saying, they're so jealous. How is this guy with this less time than me? How's he having this positive life? I got to figure out ways. I got to tell him things to do because I have to be in control of him. So where's that? They haven't made step one yet. So here's to answer your question. There's a couple things that I do. First of all, I block people. I don't get into this. I never respond to my response to someone. So if somebody asks me a question and I answer it, and then they want to argue, I never go back to that. If somebody is negative or mean, I block them. I have a Facebook page. I had about 12,000 members on it, and it started to get negative. It's a Friends of Bill page, and that was actually was called a trudging page, and it started to get negative. And somebody came on the Facebook page once and asked for help, and these other people were arguing so much, I deleted the whole page, because if we're not there to help, then we're going to hurt. I have that same page over again with about 12,000 members again 10 years later, called Friends of Bill, or Friends of Bill W, and it's different today. I don't let it get out of hand. If we start an argument, I just go in and I say, be nice. And if they can't be nice, I delete them. Same on my personal page. And here's going to be a scary thing. I'm looking at you and not the camera, but this is very. I want you to understand this. This is so important. I would never give advice, but for me, I block people in my life that want to be negative too. I have some family members that are still out there, and they don't want to hear reason. And I've tried everything, and I've given them all the resources. They just want to live in the drama. And so at some point we have to say, for their health and for my health and my other family's health, we have to cut that, sever them. That's not. It doesn't mean that you're not there and that you don't love them. You know, you heard of tough love. If you will sever your family members and your good friends because they're not being healthy and they're not bringing good health to your life and theirs, then certainly some jerk on Facebook that just happened by and wants to give you a SHIT, just block them and make them go away.
I know it's great advice. It's so hard to do for somebody like me who's like, I can save anybody. It's my job to save them. Like, I still have that delusion, right? I still suffer from that delusion on occasion that it's my job to save anybody. Like we talked about before, right? It's our job to save ourselves.
And God's and to introduce them to a higher power. That's what the 12 steps to do. If they don't want to follow you, you can't. Just like, remember, you would, if somebody would have told you this is what you got to do before you got in, you better do this, you'd be like, I'm not doing none of that, man. We can't make anybody do anything. And that old saying that what they think about me is none of my business is probably the best advice I ever got. Is that what I can't see it, but
it says, what rule is it? No, it's rule number 2. What others think of you is none of your business.
Amen. Because it isn't. Why you can't control them. If you want to make them agree with you, that means we want to be in control again. Then we backed out of step 1. We're at step 0.
Yeah, and that's where I was last night. I got into that. I deluded myself to think, well, I just want them to perceive it the way that I meant it, and that's still a form of control. It's like, no, like I went to a meeting directly after this whole thing, and like trying to be in the meeting, I was like everywhere else, and it's amazing how quickly that can make me question my own program and what I'm doing. Because I was like on fire, dude. Like I'm on fire and I feel on fire all the time. But like that small interaction made me feel like I'm not getting out of bed today.
Right. And that is Satan in our ears. That's our lower power in our ears. What can I do to pull him back out? And the more strong you get and the more stuff you're doing like you're doing right now, Matt, the better, the more powerful you get in your higher power, the more people you're reaching, the more good you're doing, the more the dark side will do to try to get in your head to pull you back. Man, it's the scary part. But if you read Job in the Bible and you see what happened to him, and that was just letting God just let him go, let the devil screw with him. And, but Job never, ever cursed God. And that's where we got to be. Because everything we do that's negative is cursing all the positive things God has put in our life. We just got to put those people behind us and move forward.
You're so mature. What's
only
wrong?
On the video. She should have been here when I was cussing and yelling about the cats on the porch. This guy's got 27 years? What the heck?
That's right, man. Hey, that's the most beautiful thing is, and a lot of the stuff I do is it's unedited. It's kind of just like, this is me, because I feel like so much of life is edited, and we want to put this perfect image of ourselves out there that, but in reality, we're all just these imperfect human beings doing our damnedest to put on a brave face and face the world and be happy, right? And if I can show that it's like, it's possible to still be a screw up, to fall down 1,000,000 times and have a good life. You can still have a good life. If you just, to a committed man, there is no failure, right? It's just keep getting up.
Yeah, you don't fail until you don't get up. And then that's when what we did before. We stayed in a room with the door locked.
Yeah. And yeah, we gave up for sure. I know I gave up for a long time. I'm so glad I'm not giving up now, man. And this has been so amazing getting to talk to you, Dan. It is, and I believe it is God who's put you and so many other people in front of me. Even for like getting on finding Nick Nimmin and the stuff on Twitter that I'm doing now with the writing community and authors. It's like, none of that was me. Like that was something higher than me that's putting these people in my life, for sure.
Yeah, I love the how interesting. When I first saw the Niminati, Nick, where it's kind of where we met, I thought, man, this guy, what is his deal?
Yeah,
and we're going to get started right now. You know, and like, I was like, man, this guy. But there was something about him, and it's not charisma or whatever. It might have been his lighting, because he's into lighting. But my point is, when it came to what it was what he was doing is what I've always wanted to do. Not the camera thing, but how he's being successful is by helping other people. There's a guy named Zig Ziglar, and his tagline is, you can get anything you want out of life by helping other people get what they want out of life. And that's what draws me to Nick and his brother. And what he's done is, if you listen to him, he talks about he's not in recovery, but if you listen to him, get the negativity out of your life. Don't want what other people do. Just do the next right thing. Quit complaining and get to work. Today, after I made that video about YouTube hating us,
I saw that.
I'm trying to, I thought maybe this will be my 1,000,000 video, but I made that, and he probably tweeted this, nothing to do with me, but he tweeted out, don't quit, because it sounded like maybe at the end of that video, I was like, I'm done with YouTube. I'm not, but my point being is that that's who he is, and that's kind of the people how we're getting together. He's bringing people together that want to have a positive, meaningful life and find their niche. He uses that word all the time.
Yeah, because it shows true abundance in your life when you're able to lift somebody else up. Being able to help somebody else out and empower somebody else. Like, I could obviously, I've lived for myself before, and it got me right there in that bed dying. Living for other people has been the greatest gift in my entire life. Like, living to serve is, I don't know if there's a higher calling. And I'm reading a book by Tony Robbins right now, and he was talking about the secret to success in business and money, making money. Be of maximum service. How can you be of maximum value and service to other people? That's the secret. Nobody wants to hear it, though, or nobody wants to apply it. But it's that simple. Like, I have seen more success in what I'm doing by simply trying to help other people as much as humanly possible, and it's been a gift.
And you're going to go as far as you want to go, is you keep that up. Guys like Tony Robbins, love that guy. When he started, he was all about what you just said, kind of sharing his whatever. Then he got really into making the money and being number one, and he was number one. And when that was his only purpose, he disappeared off the face of the earth. And now, I've been watching this guy for 20, 25 years, and now he's back to basics. He just wants to share what he's got to help other people, and now more and more people are hearing of him again. It's all about hashtag. I didn't say number sign. See, I'm not that old. Hashtag serve, man. Put that in your computer and look at people who are. That's their life. they do things to serve others and see what happens, the abundance, and that was a great word to use, the abundance that happens in their life. And they don't do it to get the abundance, but you get whatever you send out there, comes back. If it's negative, it comes back negative. If it's positive, it'll come back positive. Absolutely,
Dan. Hey, so you got your 2 YouTube channels. I'm gonna put that in the description of the video. Also, if there are links to what you're doing at your church that you do online. I know you said you have a live thing that you do at church, right? In Mosaic.
Mosaic is the church that supports our church. It's a church with a lot of resources that come down and take care of us. Okay. Our church is New Hope Church in Dayton, and everything, all my links come off my personal page, Pastor Dan Renfro on Facebook.
Pastor Dan Renfro on Facebook. Okay, awesome. I'm going to put everything in the description of the video. Man, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'd love to have you on again, or maybe I can come on. I'm inviting myself on yours if you'll have me. But I love getting to collaborate with other people. It's the most fun because I'm boring by myself. I'm much more fun with other people.
Yeah, me too. Because I think I'm funny, but when I'm with other people, I'm way funny. So
yeah. When I'm by myself, it's just like I don't know, say some really dumb things. Oh, hey, man, I really appreciate.
You're invited on to my. In fact, maybe after this, I'll send you a couple times. Maybe we do a Thursday show and a Saturday show that's just like we're doing now. We just talk.
Is it live?
It is live.
Yeah, I want to do a live one.
That'd be awesome. Thank you so much for having me on today, man. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I think God's blessed you. And I don't think people don't be afraid for a minute that if you say God, people are going to run, because there's a lot more people that even if they run now, will remember you said God, and when they're ready, they'll come back to you and ask you to help them ask you to introduce you to Him.
Yeah, that's true. Got to stay with that message, man, for sure. Those 3 people that were mean to me, one day they'll love me.
Here, let me give you a verse. It says, "Pray for your enemies."
Yeah.
Because it's like heaping hot coals onto their head. He must have known I was going to read that. So I read that every time somebody's mean to me, but I keep on praying. The big book tells me to. When somebody else is mean like that and nasty or cause me a problem or is on my resentment list, that we have to remember they're sick people too. Pray for them just like we would pray for ourselves.
Yeah, I can't forget that I used to be that same sick person.
Amen.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Well, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too, brother.
Thank you so much for watching. If you would, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for the notification. Channel of Hope, baby. You can do it.